How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do another video in the series of a century of film favorites. This is the films of the 1940s. Now, my friends who are also doing this series along with me, they are already doing the films of the 1950s. And I'm a week behind, so I need to catch up. My apologies to the entire universe and anyone else who may be listening. So, starting with the year 1940. Now, once again, these are not meant to be the list of the greatest films made during the 1940s. This is not another sort of an imitation American Film Institute list or anything like that. These are simply some of my favorites, some films that you may not hear a lot of people talk about when it comes to a certain year, and just very personal. So, but some of them are Academy Award winners as well. Starting off in 1940, you cannot ignore Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, one of the best films ever, really. And it was his first completely sound film. You got to hear Charlie's voice, and it's a mixture of comedy and drama and a great message at the end. So absolutely must see, right? Next up, here's a film that is an Academy Award winner for the year 1940. Now, there was a very popular genre, I guess you'd call it a genre, of films all through the 1930s and 1940s known as the woman's picture. Usually very romantic films or films about women who went through very difficult times and persevered and were very strong and all that sort of thing. All kinds of films featuring great actresses of those eras. And here's one of the best. This kind of personifies what the woman's picture was during that period. This is Kitty Foyle, starring Ginger Rogers, who won Best Actress for the year. Now, Ginger Rogers had been around for almost a decade, making a lot of comedies and certainly a lot of great musicals. 9 films with Fred Astaire during the decade of the 1930s, and she was turning to more dramatic fare, and this was the perfect part for her as a working class woman who has a lot of difficulties in her life, mostly dealing with men. But it's a terrific film, just one that I can watch again and again. All right, also in the year 1940, we had the beginning of a great teaming of Bing Crosby, Dorothy Lamour, and Bob Hope in their series of road pictures. The first was The Road to Singapore, and Dorothy Lamour had already been established as kind of a jungle princess type starting in the year 1936. She had already made a lot of films with the famous sarong, and it was featured in this. So yeah, very funny movies. Next up is one of the best films of that year and a great comedy. This is The Ghostbreakers. Bob Hope and Paulette Goddard, just a fantastic combination of horror imagery and with some really creepy moments and a lot of great comedies. So I love this film too. Next up is a great adventure film that also has some romance thrown in. This is Clark Gable, Spencer Tracy, Claudia Colbert, and Hedy Lamarr. What a cast of actors in Boomtown. Great action and great quips and quotes between all of the actors, and yeah, very good movie. Now we get up to the year 1941, which was very much getting into the war years, and there were a lot of films that were reflecting, patriotism and all that. But there were also films of other kinds that just had pure entertainment. And one of the best, this is something I only discovered fairly recently, Ball of Fire, starring Barbara Stanwyck and Gary Cooper. Wow, what a great film. Barbara Stanwyck plays a nightclub singer, and I can't remember what her name is. What's some crazy, silly name? I can't remember. It doesn't matter anyway. But I think in this one Sugar Puss O'Shea. How about that? And I think this is the one, she sings a song called Drum Boogie with Boogie. I don't say that very well. And I believe that she sings it with Gene Krupa and his orchestra, if I remember correctly. It's a very good musical sequence. Stanwyck was good in anything that she did. She has great chemistry with Gary Cooper. Next up is another classic comedy beginning the great career. Well, no, it wasn't the beginning, but it was one of their best films of that era. This is Bud Abbott and Lou Costello in Buck Privates. This is the one where they get drafted in the Army, and it's just one sight gag after another, and a lot of, quips and quotes between the two. And you get to hear the Andrews Singers Andrew's Singers. Andrew's sisters sing, sorry, it's very late in the night, it's time for me to go to bed, sing Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B. I'm trying to say boogie again, and I don't do it very well. Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. Whew. Okay, Mike. Now we're up to the year 1942. How about this classic film noir that made a star out of Alan Ladd, who up until that time had been making films since about 1931, small parts and a variety of things. And this one is one that actually finally put him over as a major star. Co-starring Veronica Lake and Robert Preston, This Gun for Hire. Great, great film. Also that year, another example of the woman's picture. This is one of the best. Bette Davis in Now Voyager, which is one of the best things she ever did. Another Oscar nomination for this film. Also Gladys Cooper, Claude Rains. It's a wonderful film. It has Bette Davis as a very repressed middle-aged woman. She was in her early 30s when she made this, but I think the character was supposed to be quite a few years older, and she had been very repressed by her unloving mother, who tried to keep her just sort of like tied to her apron strings. And when she finally was able to break free of her mother, she fell in love with Paul Henreid, and that changed her life. So very good story. All right. Next up, you can't talk about the 1940s and not at least mention Casablanca in 1943, the best picture. So there you go. I mentioned it. Great movie. Also in 1943, we had this little piece of creativity from Howard Hughes. This is Jane Russell in The Outlaw, which made a sort of a notorious name out of her. Later on, she did become a very, very popular and talented actress. But this is had a reputation that probably wasn't completely deserved, mainly because of the way Howard Hughes had her dressed and made her look. But it's kind of a cool little movie, actually. So, all right, The Outlaw. Also in 1943, a great musical with Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney called Girl Crazy, based on the stage musical by, let's see, was it Gershwin, I believe? I'm not sure. Yeah, George and Ira Gershwin. But I think they made a lot of changes in the musical lineup for the movie. But you get to hear Judy sing great songs like But Not For Me, beautiful, beautiful sad song. And you get to see Mickey and Judy dancing and singing to I Got Rhythm, which is great, great fun. Wonderful musical. All right. Also in 1943, the best actress of that year was Jennifer Jones for The Song of Bernadette, which is a wonderful, wonderful film. Very sentimental, but very well done, you know. She's totally believable. At the age of 24, she played a young girl who was about 13 or 14, Saint Bernadette, who sees a vision of the Blessed Virgin, and it's very well done. Very well done film. Next up, 1944, Murder My Sweet. This is the second film adaptation of the Raymond Chandler novel Farewell My Lovely. I don't know why they changed the name for this. The first one was called The Falcon Takes Over. It's one of the Falcon mystery series with George Sanders. But this is a great version. Dick Powell, who had been around all through the 1930s as a singer and doing very lighthearted musicals and comedies, all of a sudden he changes his image completely and becomes a hard-boiled detective, Philip Marlowe, and does a great job. Fantastic film noir. And also in 1944, we have this classic Fritz Lang movie starring Joan Bennett and Edward G. Robinson, The Woman in the Window. Just an amazing film. This is a beautiful print. They finally did a good job. Somebody did a good job in reproducing this on Blu-ray, and it's absolutely worth seeing. Next up, the best picture and the best actor of 1944, Bing Crosby and Going My Way, which is infinitely entertaining no matter how many times I see it. So, and you get to hear him sing. What does he sing? What's that famous song that he sings? Swinging on a Star. That's right. And of course the title tune, Going My Way. Really beautiful movie. All right. And also, once again, Fritz Lang, Edward G. Robinson, Joan Bennett, and Dan Duryea in Scarlet Street, 1945. Another classic film noir, which is really worth seeing. Absolutely wonderful. And 1945 had the sequel to Going My Way. Once again, Bing Crosby as a priest, and the beautiful and wonderful Ingrid Bergman as a nun in The Bells of St. Mary's, which is really, I think it's even better than Going My Way. It's a beautiful film, all right? Now we get up to the year 1946, and I'm going to talk about a couple of classic films. One is a Joan Crawford, John Garfield film called Humoresque. Joan Crawford continued to reinvent herself after she went to Warner Brothers in the 1940s, made a big hit in 1945 with Mildred Pierce, won the Academy Award, and this is the film that she did as a follow-up, and it's a great, great romantic drama, co-starring John Garfield. They have a lot of chemistry between them. It's a great, great movie. Next up, that same year, we had this classic film noir. Once again, John Garfield, great actor, with Lana Turner in The Postman Always Rings Twice. Just really a great movie. She has probably never been more alluring and exciting, just standing there in the doorway with that white outfit on, than she was in this film. All right. Next up, we get to the year 1947. Here's a movie that I absolutely love. One of my favorite of the Bogart-Bacall films. This is a film noir called Dark Passage. I think this is my number one of all the films they made together. Yeah, I love this film a lot. Next up, this is something I just bought recently at the Criterion Collection half-price sale, and I had never seen this movie before. It's incredible. Brute Force, starring Burt Lancaster and Hume Cronyn, Charles Bickford, a lot of other great actors, men locked in prison planning an escape. And of course, that's kind of a well-done, well-used plot line, but I think it's never been done better than it was here. Highly recommended. Great, great film. Doesn't pull any punches at all. Lancaster is incredible. All right. Also that year we have Robert Mitchum coming into his own as an actor after several years of small parts and slowly building up a reputation. Out of the Past, co-starring Jane Greer and Kirk Douglas. Just a perfect film noir. And it established a persona for Robert Mitchum that stayed with him for most of his career, even though he kept doing other things as well. But he always was very good as this flawed sort of guy dealing with conflicts with women, his past and all that. Just a great movie. Also, okay, now we're up to 1948. And let's start off with a little low-budget B film called Ladies of the Chorus, that starred a very young actress named Marilyn Monroe in her first leading part, and it's a very, very cool little movie. She plays a dancer in a burlesque house, so you get to see her sing and dance. She's very beautiful, very young, very sexy, with kind of a 1940s look about her, and co-starring with Adele Jerkins, another beautiful blonde actress who played her mother. This is a very cool little movie. It's something, if you like Marilyn Monroe, you ought to see this. This was her when she was very young and fresh and just starting out, so worth seeing. Also that year, here's a great film noir starring Jimmy Stewart, called Northside 777, co-starring Richard Conte. Jimmy Stewart plays a crusading journalist in Chicago who is trying to find out if Richard Conte and this other man were actually the ones who committed a crime many years ago that has sent them to prison for life. And he just gets obsessed with the investigation, and it gives all the details about what an investigation is like, somebody getting caught up in that system. It kind of reminds me, in a way, of the film that we all watched, our Grumpy Old Gentleman. This month we all watched and discussed Alfred Hitchcock's The Wrong Man, starring Henry Fonda, which also has to do with a man being unjustly accused of a crime and being pulled into that system. And this is a very good movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Next up, 1948, another classic musical. You really can't go through the 1940s and not mention Judy Garland 2 or 3 times. This is a great film. Irving Berlin's music in Easter Parade. Judy Garland, Fred Astaire, Ann Miller doing some great dancing, and Peter Lawford doing some very bad singing. It's one of the most beautiful, uplifting musicals ever made, and Judy Garland and Fred Astaire are terrific together. So yeah, very much worth seeing. Very much worth seeing. And here's a film from now we're up to 1949. I may have some of the years wrong here, but this is either 48 or 49. No, this is 49. The Setup, another film noir that a lot of you may not know about. Robert Ryan and Audrey Totter. Ryan plays sort of a washed-up prize fighter who, in a way, it's kind of a standard plot. He's supposed to throw a fight. He doesn't want to, and his wife is just played by Audrey Totter, is just desperately trying to get him not to hurt himself further. And it's a terrific film with a lot of potential. Robert Ryan is one of the best actors in film history. He did a lot of great, great parts. So very much worth seeing. The Best Picture of 1949, All the King's Men, which also won a Best Actor award for its leading man, Broderick Crawford, and a supporting actress award for Mercedes McCambridge, who was very young and just starting out. Great, great movie about political intrigue and corruption and all the stuff that, hey, it's happening today, you know? Kind of might be something we all need to watch right now. Yeah. 1949 is the year of my absolute favorite film noir that is not designated as a classic, really, but I love this movie so much. Tension. It stars Richard Basehart and Audrey Totter in a very evil role, which she did very well. Sid Charisse is in it. Great, great movie. I've always loved it. It's kind of hard to describe. Richard Basehart is being destroyed by his wife, and he assumes another identity. It gets very complicated, but it's a very good movie. Sid Charisse is in this completely straight part, no dancing, no music, but she's very good. 1949, can't do any better than this. James Cagney, White Heat. Wow. With Virginia Mayo. This is the one where, let's see, what is his name in this? I think it's, what is his name in this? Cody Jarrett. Cagney came back and did another gangster film, kind of reluctantly, but he did something. He wanted to do something if it was more complicated and more sort of a deeper characterization. He couldn't have picked a better character than this. A very complicated guy, Cody Jarrett, and it's a fantastic movie if you haven't seen it. All right, and finally, I'm going to end up 1949 with Ginger and Fred in the Barclays of Broadway. After making 9 films together in the 1930s at RKO, they came back 10 years later at MGM and did this sort of a one-off in color, their first color film together, and it was a big hit. Didn't have some of the classic kind of music that they had in the other films, but they were wonderful, and the chemistry, the old chemistry was still there, and yeah, it's just a beautiful movie, much worth seeing. All right, so I need to watch everybody else's videos. I think I've watched a couple of what the guys have done, but I haven't watched Harry Benson's yet, because Harry Benson and I have very similar tastes in classic films, and I have a feeling we're going to be choosing a lot of the same titles. So I wanted to do mine first and then compare with what he chose. So anyway, let me know what you think about all these films, and if you'd like to join in, everybody is welcome. So as I always say, and I always mean this, comments are welcome.